Hey guys, I'm Diamond Davis, a content creator, author, and strategist, and today I'm going to be talking about how embodiment makes it real. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get into this video. I know a lot of us probably that are into personal development, spirituality. I think it's Napoleon Hill who kind of first said this. It has heard of be, do, have. First, you have to be something, and then you will do it, and then you will have it. And also thinking of what Napoleon Hill said is our thoughts lead to our actions. So our feelings determine our thoughts, and then our thoughts determine our actions, and then our actions determine our reality. And I understood this. And one thing that I've also recently noticed, and I probably will make a video about this, a separate video about this though, is that a lot of us will notice that we come around to the same kind of concepts, the same topics, the same ideas, but every single time we think about them on a deeper level from a different perspective. And I did this with my hand because I was talking to actually ChatGPT about this, about like how I feel like I revisit a lot of the same types of conversations around worthiness, personal development, be, do, have, and being a creative and all these things. But every time I come back to these topics, I come to them with a new perspective and I embody them. I learn them on a deeper level or like from a different perspective. So it's like a winding staircase, right? If you think about the 3D, and it's like continuing to go back to these ideas, but going back to them on a different level. So anyways, be, do, have. I had a crash out. Really, I don't even call it a crash out. Really, I had a breakdown. And one thing though that I don't mind about a breakdown, I don't have breakdowns often. I really don't. Maybe once a quarter, maybe. They don't happen that often. But when I have a breakdown, I always know there's going to be a very big breakthrough. Like, I just don't break down. I don't have like crying moments. Like, that just doesn't really happen to me. But anyways, recently I did have a breakdown. And of course it led to a breakthrough. But my breakdown was, which is similar to something that I've had before when I've had a breakdown, is around this idea of feeling like I was taking the actions and I was putting on this performance to be this version of me, this grander version of me, but really I wasn't embodying that version of me. I was just doing the actions. And what I talked about before, when I remember, I think I made a video about this, but I talked about kind of like feeling like being on a stage and like I was acting and I was going through the motions. I'm putting on the performance that I should be putting on to get the reception that I want from the crowd, from the world, or whatever. And it was draining me because I felt like I was putting on that show. This time, I felt like, not that I was putting on a show, but it felt like I was doing these things, taking these actions, and it was just never enough. And I was just not, I guess, yes, tired, but not because I was putting on a show. Like I said, it was more of just, it was more of like, I'm doing the things, where are the results? I'm doing the things. I'm doing this because this is what they say that you know, that type of person would do. I'm doing this because, okay, the 100K version of me, she would probably do this. The 100K version of me would do this, would do that, would do this. But what I was approaching it from was not from the be, do, have. I was approaching it from the do, then hoping to be and have. My camera is about to die, one moment. Okay, so anyways, I was approaching things not from the be, do, have. I was approaching them from do, hoping to be, and have. And I think high level, it is good to think through, like, what would that version of me with the body do? What would that version of me that is a content creator with 500,000 followers do? But ultimately, when you start from the being, the actions, the doing becomes so much easier. They're not so much of a struggle, because what makes things so effortless for that version of you that has that thing is that it's in their mindset. They're not doing the things because they think they have to. They're doing the things because that's who they are. A clean person takes a shower because they are clean. They don't just take a shower because they have to. A tidy person, someone that values having a clean home, they don't clean their home because they have to. part of it is they have to, but also it's because that's a part of their mindset. They can't imagine living in filth. Somebody that is, I always use this pop star analogy. Someone that's a pop star, they don't write music and go to the recording studio and film in front of people or like perform in front of people because that's what they think they should do. It's because it's what they want to do. It's what they would prefer to be doing because they are that thing. And it's like shifting from that. And I hope I'm explaining this well. But if there's any like questions about this, please do leave them in the comments. But I'm going to keep talking about it just to continue to work it out. But, oh, this was the analogy I started thinking of recently is like a golfer. Some people ask me, they're like, are you a golfer? And to me, I know how to golf. But would I call myself a golfer? Not right now, no, because I don't golf that often. I golf when it's fun, which is like maybe every month or so, or less than that. And that's only in the summer, right? Like I live in Michigan. So would I say I'm a golfer? No, I wouldn't really classify myself as a golfer because I don't move as a golfer. I don't do what golfers do. I don't go to the range. I don't play for fun during the week. I just go whenever someone calls me and say, hey, you want to be in this tournament? And have fun, you know? So that's the shift, is embodying who that person is instead of just going through the motions. Because when you're going through the motions, you're doing what you think they would do, but you're not really thinking from their state. And there's a difference. To make this practical, what I would say is don't just sit down and think about that grander version of you that has the husband, that has the body, that has the money, that has whatever, and what actions they would take. But think about their mindset. Sit down and like, you could even like when you journal about this, think through this, think about it like you're interviewing them almost, because that could help you really determine or distinguish from who you are today and who that version is. Like interview them. It's like, what do you think about eating clean? And listen, right? And write that down. Think through that. What do they think about eating clean? Why do they eat clean 5 days a week? And they might say, well, because it feels better to my body. I have more energy. All that other stuff just tastes nasty to me. It doesn't even taste good. It's not enjoyable. Maybe it's that version of you that has written a book and is a bestseller. It's like, well, what do you think about the writing process? How do you make time for writing? What does that look like for you? What are your views on that? And it's like, well, I like to go when, I know Maya Angelou, I think she would get a hotel room and like take everything out of it or something, take all the art off the wall, and she would sit there and write. But everybody has a different process. But tap into what that version of you, how do they view things? And then it will become easier to see the devotion. And it becomes less about discipline, which is like, you have to do this because this is what you said you want. You have to do it. And it becomes more of you having this mindset of, I'm doing this because I want to. I'm doing this because this feels better to me. And that is the shift from do, then trying to figure out the mindset, and have. When you can just figure out the mindset earlier, be, do, have. It's a lot easier and it's a lot less of a fight. And that's what I've been working on a lot on a deeper level, is shifting to that be, do, have. And what I've noticed is it's been a lot easier for me to show up and film my content. It's been a lot easier for me to show up and move my body. It's been a lot easier for me to just do all of the things that used to feel like, a chore. Things that used to feel like a chore don't feel like a chore. They just feel like something I'd rather be doing. That is really the embodiment shift that I've been having. If you guys have more questions on this, let me know, because I really think this is an interesting topic of understanding embodiment versus just doing the actions, because actions in the physical is just not as effective when you can shift your mindset. Because when you shift your mindset, the actions happen on autopilot, right? But when you are always forcing the actions, but you haven't really made the mindset shift, it's a lot harder to continue to follow through day after day, week after week. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.